You ready, Josh?
Okay, he says we're live now, so we can go.
We're ready to go? Okay, good to go. Well, good evening and welcome to our regular board meeting for the month of May and our second virtual session. Hopefully sometime in the near future, we will be back live in the boardroom before long. But we do welcome you and join me please for a moment of silence. And again, remember those folks in Seneca who either suffered severe damage and some lost everything. So let's not forget those folks. But join me if you would, please. Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of tonight's agenda, April 20th, 2020 regular meeting. Without objection, we will approve the agenda. The agenda for April 20th is approved. I guess we can all join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I have a flag in here somewhere. So,
I have a pen.
can we do that?
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's stand. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. Do we have anyone email you, Ms. Gibson, for public comment?
She said no one emailed us for public comment, so we're
We are
able
good
to
to go
move on.
then. Okay, next is the approval of minutes for the March 9th, 2020 work session and the March 16th regular board meeting. Without objection, we will approve the minutes as submitted. The minutes are approved. Okay, discussion items, strategic plan update. Ms. Simmons.
Yes, sir. We wanted to give the board an update due to the closure of school districts in the state of South Carolina. The State Department has given us the option to submit our 21-22 district strategic and school renewal plans, extending that a year out to April 30th of 2021. So we have let the State Department know, our contacts there, that we will not be turning in our plans as we had scheduled on April 30th of this year, that we will take the extension that was offered to the districts at this time. However, our schools are looking at their data and their goals that they presently have in their plans to kind of see where they're at. A lot of those goals cannot be evaluated this year due to not giving the administration of spring map testing and those sorts of things, but they are doing as much evaluation as they possibly can moving into next year. But we did want you to know that the due date for those plans have been extended to April 30th of 2021.
Okay. On a related note, I listened to Ms. Spearman on the news tonight, and she did not sound very promising about opening schools the rest of this year. You mentioned the buses and, of course, the size of the schools, social distancing would be very difficult, but she did not sound too promising. Okay, March financial report. Ms. Moore.
Okay, so we have the normal report, the first 3 pages of revenue and expenditures for the month of March. Not much to say about that. I did give you a new report this month. It's on the 4th page. Shannon, can you scroll to the 4th page, maybe? So all I wanted to show you was just a comparison of where we are this year compared to last year. And it looks like we're tracking pretty close to where we were last year. We have, at this point last year, we had collected 88% of our revenues. This year we've collected, 82% of our revenues. And this year we've collected 80%. So a 2% difference in revenues. And we are, the next page is expenditures, and it shows that we have 31% remaining this year for the rest of the year, and we also had 31% remaining last year at this time. I thought that since we're in this kind of strange environment now, that it might be interesting for you all to see a comparison of how we're doing. And then just wanted to let you know that from the State Department, we have not heard anything about budget cuts for this year. I did ask our principals and directors to not spend any more general fund money this year at the point where we were closing, partly because we didn't think they would need as many supplies because they're not in school. And and they've been very, very compliant. Very few people have asked for anything, but if they need something, they do know that we're always willing to listen and help them however they need that. Any questions on those reports or the check report?
Gloria.
Yes, sir.
The current capital expenditure budgets at the very bottom, I guess it is. What does it mean to incentivize redo piping? Is that literally piping? See where it's like $150,000.
Where?
Gloria, can I take that one?
Certainly.
Okay, that is for the HVAC system. We have to go the piping that goes up to the second floor for the chiller side is completely in bad shape. Basically, we're going to do those main corridor halls off the office and the guidance office. With a couple of them, we have long runs of the main line down the hall, and with the other side that parallels each other, we have just runs from the main line into the classroom. But they've been there since 1990. Some are rusted out. So we had that meeting, and we had to develop that, and we were going to do that project. If Ms. Spearman tells us that we don't have school starting back up, we would start. It's about an 8-week project, but we have tried and limped and tried to make it to the end of the school year with that going on. But that's what it's got to be. It's got to replace those 2 chill lines in the main part that goes up to the second floor of Seneca High.
Okay, thank you. I have another one.
Okay.
Schedule for the Hamilton Career Center, the renovations for that and the new Career Center. Is it scheduled still on for our original dates?
Yes, sir. We're still on schedule. If Ms. Spearman says no school, we will expedite that. But we have folks actually doing some work over there now that we can do. Trail continues to make good progress. We continue to have our Thursday meetings with them. They feel like we will get the building in late June, and then we'll, as long as nothing comes back and they shut anything down, we'll move a lot of the stuff out. Our main priority is going to be getting the stuff we need from the current Career Center to the new Career Center, which that brings to that point. We need to come up with a new name, by the way, for the current Career Center, because it's confusing when we're trying to order things. I meant to ask them to put that on the agenda, and I forgot. But we are in good shape to open up both those buildings at regular time if, come August 3rd when we're supposed to have our teachers back.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of Ms. Moore on the financial report? Okay, FY21 general budget presentation. Ms. Morgan.
Okay, so just like everything else is different this year, our budget presentation is going to be different. You all know that the state legislature could not finish their budget work because of the COVID-19 situation. But they did go back on April the 8th, and both houses worked on a continuing resolution. They both adopted a continuing resolution, and but they had some different language. The Senate version has something in it about the Santee Cooper facility, and the House version doesn't. So we know at this point that the language in regard to education is the same in both resolutions. Both are saying that we would start the school year using the current teacher salary schedule, the state minimum salary schedule that we have right now, and there would be no step increases, and that the revenue projections would stay the same at least until the legislature can come back together and finish up the budget process. So we want to go forward with the exact same budget that we have right now. We're not going to ask you to approve that tonight because Michael had a call with Miss Spearman today, and you want to talk about that, Michael? What exactly?
Sure. It was her opinion that we probably could do a continuing resolution. The South Carolina School Boards Association, Scott Price, was on the call. He was not so sure, and Gloria received a little bit of hesitancy from across the street as well. So we feel like, for all intents and purposes, that's what we want to do, but we just want to make sure we have the language correct. So we'll probably do that in May, if that's okay with you, that we'll wait and ask you to approve something in May.
Okay. So we will not do a first reading approval.
We will not tonight.
Since it's still on the agenda, when we get there, we'll need to get a motion to table that until.
Table that, yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Any other questions about any of that?
Anyone else? Okay, emergency resolution of 2019 novel coronavirus response. Dr. Thorson.
Right. You and I both received an email from our attorneys about this, which basically is a request for you to lift any board policies that are in conflict with the governor's emergency declaration. So some of the things that the governor ordered could be in conflict with board policies that we have, student attendance, different things like this. So what this resolution does is it you're lifting any board policy that would be in conflict with what the governor or the State Department of Education have asked us to do during this coronavirus time, just so we don't have a conflict. It also, the second part there, which is maybe a little less straightforward, it allows you as chairman and me as superintendent to, let's see, you can see the language there at the bottom where it just gives us kind of authority to do things quickly if we need to. And of course, we wouldn't do anything that would be outside of what the governor, has asked us to do as school districts. But it just essentially takes away any conflict between our school board policies and what the emergency declarations have been called for in the state.
Yeah, I've noticed several other districts have done the same thing. Any questions of Dr. Thorson on the emergency resolution? Okay, discussion of inclement weather days.
Yes, and this is something, of course, that just came up last week, and you and I spoke about it. We had one inclement weather day for the more common reason for cold weather, ice or snow. earlier in the year. But then last week, after the tornado blew through Seneca, we just honestly didn't feel like we could ask students and or staff to continue with online learning. So we were calling those inclement weather days last week. The way it works is we have 3 built into our calendar, and then the school boards have authority to approve 3 more days of inclement weather before it has to go to the State Board of Education. So we have had, I guess, according to my count, maybe 5 days this year. We did make one up over spring break, so that kind of gets us back down to 4. And Mr. Hamby and I just aren't really sure how to handle those right now, because a lot of districts, when the governor told schools to close a month ago, a lot of districts didn't even start instruction for that first week. And we started the second day. We started on Tuesday following that declaration he made. So we're not quite sure if we need to take action on that. We just wanted to let everyone know that we did use 4 inclement weather days last week because of the tornado. So many power outages across the county, as well as the devastation in Seneca. We just felt like that was the expedient thing to do. So we did cancel or declare inclement weather days all of last week. Instruction did start back today. Of course, with the Seneca area principals asking their faculty and staff to be very cognizant of students who experienced a tragic loss last week of their living accommodations or whatever. Of course, our teachers are going to be very lenient with students in a situation like that. And we're also having to be lenient with teachers who experience loss of a home, because we've got some that even teach outside. I had one of the high school principals, it wasn't Seneca High, that had to work with a teacher because that teacher was still without power in downtown Seneca. So we're working through those things. But the inclement weather days, Mr. Hamby and I will get some clarification on that, and we may need you to take some action in May. We just wanted everybody to know that we were up to 5 days now, and we'll figure out if we need you to approve, not making up 2 of those.
Well, we'll have plenty of time to do that. It just has to be done prior to the end of school.
That's right. So we can do that in May.
Any questions on that? Okay, diversity report. Mr. Hamby.
Okay, this is not a report that's required by any kind of state requirement or policy requirement, but we like to each spring bring to the board to let you know that we continue our efforts to try to work as hard as we can to recruit a diverse work staff for our students and our community. And so we have the updated numbers here. This is for the current school year. They'll be tweaked a little bit as we go through. Al and his office, Ms. Waring, they continue to work. We got a head start, and we went to as many of the schools as we could to try to be intentional and get a head start on early recruiting and trying to find as many minority candidates as we could. And we have worked on that and feel like we're making headway. We're not where we want to be, but that's continuing to be a goal of our HR department. So you can see the numbers. And if you just look down at the bottom of our certified staff, it's right at 5% are in the minority employees, almost 11% of our classified employees. And then if you do the total overall, about 7.2% of our 1,500-ish, 1,545 employees are minorities. So again, that's the number we want to continue to see grow. We're excited. We got a very good hire last week with a minority administrator, assistant principal at one of our elementary schools. We're excited about that, and we'll continue to recruit and get the best folks possible into our school district.
Any questions, Mr. Henry, on the diversity report? Okay, next is discussion possible action, policy JICDA, code of conduct. Mr. Henry?
Yes, and there's not a whole lot here. I think Shannon and I marked it, page 14 and 15. This is what Ms. Hughes works on with our assistant principals each year, and we update so that we're consistent with handling our behavior issues and our discipline problems. And so one of the things is a phone violation. We have a Power School code for that, but taking a picture, recording a video, or distributing a video to others on our social media falls in there as a violation. We don't want people recording if there's a fight or an inappropriate something going on and sending it out via social media. So sometimes they're like, well, I didn't do anything but record it. Well, you recorded it and you spread it, so that makes you a guilty party as well. And then on page 15, we're going to have to adjust before the final reading, the very first sentence there, the use of vape or any type of vaping device or materials is considered a tobacco use violation, and the same punishment will apply. We're going to have to stop it and take out the same punishment will apply, because the first offense, there's a slightly different punishment if you have possession versus if they catch you using the vape. So you can see that we have that. It's 1 day of in school, and then we have a vape education course that we pay for. They would complete that while in school suspension. And then if you're with actually caught using the vape, it's 1 day out of school. Same for tobacco use. And then you've got to complete the course on your time while you're suspended that day. And it does it online, and it tells us if you pass the class or not. And if you're now if you're under 21, so all our students will be there. There is a blue ticket. That's what it's called, the citation. The name of the school is a blue ticket that you get, and you go to the magistrate, and it is about a $96 fine if you have to go do that. So that's where we are. The second offense, we did kind of bring those together. Evie talked to Michael and me about that, and we figure, you got lucky one time and you didn't get as much the second time. For either possession of, smoking, or using a vape 3 days out of school, and you get another citation. And then if you just keep doing it, it just builds to 5 days, and then a recommendation for expulsion. So basically, what we did is we kind of tightened up the vaping. There's a slight separation or distinction between, like, when the drug dog hits on the vape in a car versus if you're in the bathroom smoking it, hitting it. So the rest of it all remains the same.
Any questions on policy JICDA? Mr. Heavy, if you want to go ahead and cover the other one on possession, use of electronic communication devices, we will roll both of those into one motion since they're the same policy series.
That'd be great. This was mainly about cleaning up the wording. In the past, the policy has said a wireless communication device, WCD. We have gotten more up to the times, and we have changed that to an electronic communication device. That includes everything, basically, that they can do: computer, cell phone, digital camera, etc., all the things that are in there. So we tried to clean that up because the old one had Blackberries and things that were no longer in use. Most of the changes are striking out WCD and putting electronic communication devices. There's a sentence added on in the toward the bottom of that where it says using it to take or transmit audio and or pictures is prohibited in classrooms. So, they can't video other students in the classroom. They can't video the teacher and put it out and that kind of thing. That's kind of goes in with the behavior code. Obviously, talking about recording in the locker rooms, bathrooms, school buses, etc., is inappropriate. If you go to the next page, it's just mainly cleaning up the wording on all of those. And that takes us all the way actually through the last 2 pages of it. It's just cleaning up the wording and going from WCD to electronic communication devices. Big thing is getting up to date with our what we consider in that category, and making sure that kids are aware that they are not able to record things either knowingly, by the other person knowing or unwillingly, and sending it out via social media or using it in Snapchat or group messages and that kind of stuff. They can't legally film other kids in the class or the teacher or the fights or whatever else.
Okay. Are there any questions on either of the policies of Mr. Hamby? The JICDA or the JICJ?
And we'll have to bring them back in May.
Excuse me?
So we'll have time.
Yeah. But now, do you want a first reading tonight or you?
Please.
Second in May, okay?
Yes.
Like I said, I think we can roll both of these into one motion since they're in the same series. If I could get a motion to approve on first reading policy JICDA and policy JICCJ.
Approve and first reading policy JICDA, Code of Conduct, and policy JICJ, possession use of electronic communication devices.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second to approve policies JICDA, Code of Conduct, and JICCJ, possession use of electronic communication devices. Any discussion? Okay, we will again do a roll call vote. Ms. McCormick?
In favor?
Dr. Sloan? Dr. Sloan? We must have lost. Mr. Rickett?
In favor?
Mr. Herring?
In favor?
And I will vote in favor, so it will be 4-0.
Dr. Sloan's got her mic off.
Okay, next on action items is first reading approval of the FY21 general fund budget. And in light of what Ms. Moore said, I think we will just need a motion to table that item until our May meeting. Does that suit you, Laura?
Yes, sir.
If I could get a motion to table the first reading approval of the FY21 general fund budget until our May meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table the FY21 general fund budget until the next meeting, next main meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to table the FY21 general fund budget first reading until May. Any discussion? Ms. McCormick?
In favor?
Mr. Rickett?
In favor?
Mr. Herring?
In favor?
And I will vote in favor. And is Dr. Sloan back with us yet?
No, sir.
She's on the call, but it appears that she has her
She has her
device
microphone muted. Yeah, I can see it on the screen here. Okay, then it's 4-0. Next is second reading approval of policy IKD, honor roll class rank. Ms. Simmons, you want to just briefly run over the highlights of that?
Yes, sir. The only change in this policy falls down into the academic honors for graduation. You can see the last bullet there is beginning with the class of 2024. We are suggesting that GPA requirements change for high honor graduate and honor graduate. So high undergraduate would change to a GPA of 4.75 or above, and the honor graduate GPA of a 4.25 or above. That is the only change that is in this policy.
Okay. Any questions on policy IKD?
What reading is this?
This is second.
Good.
Which is final.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions on it? Could I get a motion to approve policy IKD honor roll class rank on second reading?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve policy IKD on a roll / class ranking on the second reading.
I second.
Motion is second. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Ms. McCormick,
In favor.
Dr. Sloan,
In favor?
Mr. Rucat,
In favor.
Mr. Herring,
In favor?
and I'm in favor, so it's 5-0. Okay, next is approval of the emergency resolution that Dr. Thorsland talked about earlier. Dr. Thorsland, you have any other comments on that? Or?
No, I don't. Just again, it's to kind of clean up any conflict we have between the emergency declaration at the state and any board policies we have that could, again, be in conflict. We want to. You're essentially lifting our board policies where there may be a conflict.
Okay, any questions on the emergency resolution? Could we get a motion to approve the emergency resolution reference to 2019 novel coronavirus response?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the emergency resolution 2019 novel coronavirus response.
Second.
Motion was second to approve the emergency resolution. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. McCormick,
In favor.
Dr. Sloan,
In favor?
Mr. Rucat,
In favor.
and Mr. Herring.
In favor?
And I'm in favor, so it is 5-0. And that concludes our open session portion of the meeting. We do have an executive session for personnel items and professional contract approval. And after that, we will return to open session for any action needed. And thank you for your participation. Without objection, we will move into executive session for personnel items and professional contract approval.
I'll start my video on my phone, so I should be able to tell when it goes live again. Okay, we're live again. You can start it.
Okay, we back in open session to take action on some personnel actions discussed in executive session. And due to a conflict of interest, we're approving teachers and administrators throughout the district. Due to a conflict of interest, Mr. Rucat, if you would mute your microphone, we will consider Walhalla Elementary first and then come back and do everything else, if that's suitable with everyone. Okay? If I could get a motion to approve the contracts as recommended by the administration for Walhalla Elementary School, please.
I make a motion that we approve the professional contracts for Walhalla Elementary School.
A second.
Motion and second to approve the professional contracts for Walhalla Elementary School. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. McCormick?
Approved.
Dr. Sloan?
Approved.
Mr. Herring?
Approved.
And I too will vote in favor, so it's 4-0 with Mr. Rucat abstaining. Okay. How do we tell Joe to unmute his microphone now?
He can still hear, I think.
He could hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good. Okay, now if we could get a motion to approve all the other personnel items, recommendations, and changes as recommended by the administration, not including Walhalla Elementary School.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the administration's recommendation on personnel and changes as presented by the administration.
I second.
Motion second to approve the administration's recommendation for employment recommendations and changes and professional contracts. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. McCormick?
Approved.
Dr. Sloan?
Approved.
Mr. Rucat?
Approved.
And Mr. Herring?
Approved.
And I will vote in favor, so it's 5-0. Okay, that is the conclusion of any action, conclusion of our meeting. We appreciate your attendance and participation. Without objection, we will adjourn. We are adjourned.